Hi there, welcome back to Literary Cleveland's YouTube channel. If you haven't seen me before, my name's Naomi and I am one of Literary Cleveland's spring interns this year. And for my internship project this year, I proposed a video series on Literary Cleveland's YouTube channel, and this video is part of that series. So today I'm going to be doing another book recommendations video, and the theme for today's book recommendations is Latinx books/authors that I think you should read. So you could read any of these books during Hispanic Heritage Month, which is September 15th through October 15th, or any time of the year, honestly. So in front of me I have 6 books by Latinx authors about Latinx stories, which are some of my all-time favorites. The first one that I have is The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba by Cleeton. Cleeton is a Cuban writer. And this book is a historical fiction novel, and this one is set in the late 1800s. But this one also has a present point of view from a journalist. Like I said, set in the late 1800s. This one is set also in New York and Cuba, and this is during the Spanish oppression. And basically this novel follows this journalist who meets this woman called Evangelina Cisneros, who was, I guess, kind of marketed back in the day as the most beautiful girl in Cuba, and then there was kind of like an outrage in the United States that this beautiful woman was imprisoned in one of the worst prisons for women in Cuba. It's a beautiful story. I didn't know much about Cuba and at that time and the Spanish oppression and all of that, so it's really exciting to read about. But yeah, this is one of my favorites. Next up I have a memoir, and that is In the Dream House by Carmen Machado. So this one follows her experience in a very toxic relationship with this woman. She talks a lot about all of the psychological abuse that she went through this relationship, but it's told in very different tropes, like fairy tales and like kind of interview formats. So in the back here it says each chapter is driven by its own narrative trope, which is like the haunted house, erotica, fairy tales, and works of film and fiction. She references a lot of different pop culture, like movies, TV shows, books, and all of that, and I love seeing those references in this book. When you read this book, you can really tell that she did so much research, and it's a really wonderful memoir. So I really love this one. Like I said, it does deal with a lot of very heavy topics. I will say this is one of the only memoirs that I've read and really enjoyed, so yeah. Next up, I have a recent favorite, and that is Ophelia After All by Racqel. This is a recent release that came out this year in 2022. This one is more of a young adult novel, and it follows this young girl. She's a senior in high school, and basically she has had many crushes on boys for like her entire life, and then one day she kind of meets this girl and she's thinking about her a lot. So she's basically kind of discovering her sexuality. Maybe she's bisexual, maybe she's not, maybe she's something else. And she's also suffering a lot through like all of the changes and everything that comes with being a senior in high school and all of the expectations that her family and friends have. She's also a gardener, which is really cute because on the cover you can see that she loves flowers, and there's so much representation in this book. She also has many friends in this novel. I think she has about like 5 friends, and they're all very different, and I love their dynamic. And this was also a really funny book. And also our main character in this one is also Cuban. Next up I have With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is my favorite Acevedo book, but honestly you could read any Elizabeth Acevedo book. They're all very good. And I did mention this book in my previous video, which was books that you should read during Women's History Month, so you should go check that video out. This one follows a Dominican young girl. She lives with her grandmother, and she's a young teen mom. She's still in high school, and she really wants to become a chef. She loves food, and basically there's kind of like studying abroad program, but she can't really do it because she's a teen mom, so she has all of these responsibilities that come along with that. And I really love this book. It's very beautifully written because Elizabeth Acevedo usually writes more of like verse poems type of books, and this was her first actual novel, so it's really beautifully written. Next up I have Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno Garcia. As well, Silvia Moreno Garcia has written so many books in so many different genres. She has written young adult, this one's a noir, she's written horror, she's written books about vampires. She has a wide range of genres that she can write. But like I said, this one is a noir, and this one is set in 1970s Mexico City. This one mainly follows this woman. Her name's Maite. She's one of the most interesting characters that I've ever read in a book. And basically one day her neighbor comes up to her and she's like, "Can you watch my cat?" And she's like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then her neighbor tells her that she'll be back at a certain time, and then she never returns. So basically she's kind of set down in this adventure of trying to figure out what happened to her neighbor. Was she kidnapped? What really happened? And then you also follow the point of view from this man. His name's Elvis, and he's also looking for this missing woman, but he is a criminal. There's a lot of different things that you also see in this book. Like, this is also set in the background of when the student protest and political unrest was happening in Mexico City in the 1970s. There's also a whole bunch of references to old movies and rock and roll, and I just really loved it. This book is really like a vibe. Like I said, a noir, and I just felt like the whole time that I was reading this book, like there's some books that you kind of just get like a feeling, and I don't know if it's the cover or what, but I just always felt like I was like a very dim lighting like bar, like surrounded by smoke, like cigarette smoke. Like that's what I felt like reading this book. Those were like the vibes. Last but not least, I have The Inheritance of Orquidea Divina by Zoraida Cordova. This one is more of a magical realism family drama story. So basically Orquidea Divina is a very old woman, and she is about to die, and she kind of calls up her family or sends them a letter and basically tells them like, come and collect your inheritance. But this old woman has always been very, very private about her life. She never really talks about her past. And then when she tells her family to come and collect their inheritance, you kind of see Orquidea's past, and basically you see her whole life story from the moment she was born all the way up to old age, and it's a really, really beautiful story. And this one follows the Ecuadorian culture. Alright, so those were some recommendations of Latinx books by Latinx authors that I think you should read. Like I said, obviously you can read these at any time of the year, but obviously these are perfect to read during Hispanic Heritage Month. But yeah, let me know if you'll be picking up any of these books. We hope that you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye!